Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and this is a look back at my first year on BookTube. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Today is my BookTube birthday. I first posted on the 24th of January, which was my BookTube newbie tag, predictably. So in this video I just thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of a chat about what the last year has been like. Look back and just have a bit of a ramble about it. Spoiler alert, it's been fabulous. So let's start with a few stats then, shall we? Yes, I first posted on the 24th of January 2023, and since then I have published 124 videos, including this one. I'm sitting on 319 subscribers as I record this, which is awesome. I didn't expect to have that many subs at all. I thought if I ended the year on 100 subs, then I'd be pretty happy with that. So over 300 folks subscribing is wonderful, and thanks to everyone who's subscribed and everyone who's watched any of my ramblings. It makes me very happy to know that people do actually want to hear me blather on about books. Okay then, so I thought I'd have a little look at how this whole booktubing lark has changed my reading habits. That's one of the things I think that is worth addressing, shall we say. So the biggest change I think is, or one of the biggest changes certainly, is to the quantity of books that I get through. I've read about 125 books I think I'm at since starting the channel. And if you compare that to the previous year, when I read 46 books for that year, and the year before that when I read 18. So it's definitely spiked in the last year. So it's a bit, my amount's been increasing, increasing gradually since I properly started reading again in 2020, but it has definitely shot through the roof since I started BookTube. This is absolutely cool with me. I love that I've got so into books these days, but it is something that I do just need to watch out for in terms of, like, I don't want to overdo it and end up burning out. Hence why, as I said in my kind of plans for 2024 video, I'm actually trying to just very slightly reduce the number of books that I read this year to keep it to the kind of the 100 markish. So not 25 off that, kind of number. I think that's probably a bit more manageable. It should stop me from burning out. There's no guarantee I'll manage this because I get over enthusiastic, but we'll see. So the other massive shift for me is in terms of the variety of stuff that I read. I was reading predominantly horror in terms of fiction, and then in terms of non-fiction, I was reading a lot more non-fiction, but I was reading a lot of outdoors, adventure, nature kind of books before I kind of started BookTube. But I've read so much more varied stuff in terms of genre fiction in the last year, and I find myself drawn to a lot more stuff outside my comfort zone, which is usually thanks to fantastic recommendations from other booktubers. But my own adventures in genre series has helped with that a lot too. In terms of, I pushed myself to try some genres that I, ordinarily wouldn't have done. But mostly I've just found myself intrigued by a lot more of the different stuff that I've heard someone talk about on their channel, things like that. So a change in certainly the variety of stuff. And I've not read much non-fiction at all in the last year, which is something that I'm trying to get back into a little bit this year. And the third change is in terms of format, in terms of what I read, how I read stuff, how I consume books. I was almost exclusively consuming my books as audiobooks prior to 2023, at least between 2020 and 2023, because that's how I got back into loving books. And I've been on this audiobook kick since 2020, since lockdown basically. But I've rediscovered my love of physical books too, and book shopping. That has a big part to play in it. but there is something about having the physical book on the shelf and being able to just flick through it, or you know, the feel and smell of a book when you're sitting reading it. I think that's part of the magic. And when I look at kind of my stats for the last year, 60% of the books that I've read were physical editions, which is very different to previous years when it's been pretty much like 90% audiobooks in previous years. And I've discovered the joys of Kindle as well, which I never thought I would, and ebooks in general, which is both awesome and perilous. Awesome because they are super cheap compared to physical books, and when you're a boy on a budget like me, that makes so many more books accessible. It means I can read more. But perilous, you know, because they're cheap. It's the same reason. And I can't resist a potential deal either. Kindle dangerous daily deals at 99p. Yeah. Thank goodness for the read what you own challenge, I think. So yeah, but I do love my Kindle now, and as I say, it's great to have a variety of different formats, because then it does kind of feel like I'm not kind of, I flit around from thing to thing a lot in terms of my hobbies and stuff like that, or I have in the past. And there's something about being able to change the format of the book that you read that keeps it feeling fresh, as well as the books being very different. I think even just a change in the way that I consume them keeps things like fresh and varied for me. So even if I have a month where I read predominantly horror or predominantly science fiction or whatever, if it's in different kind of formats, it feels very different. So that actually really helps with not getting a slump going, anything like that. So pros and cons of BookTube then. I would say for me that like one of the big pros is like creativity, being creative in a different way for me from my day job as an artist and designer. It's been really nice to still be creative, but like do something that is completely not connected with what I do, as I say, as a day job. I've really enjoyed the editing side of making content, as well as the filming, and I've learned a lot technically, and that's been something that's really good. I felt like I've learned something, a new creative skill, as I've been doing this. And as I say, I really enjoyed it. One of the biggest pros for me is definitely got to be community. I think like one of the big reasons I started the channel, other than to ramble about books, you know, to people who might actually want to listen. And to give my wife a break from having to listen to me ramble about books that she had absolutely no interest in. She's very tolerant and a great listener, but you know, there's only so much any one person can take. But yeah, one of the main reasons was because I was feeling pretty isolated and lonely at the back end of 2022. I was craving some sort of connection with people, so you know, to be part of a community of folks who were, you know, kind of reasonably chill and kind of open-minded, and with whom I could join in a conversation, you know, join in a discourse, a discussion, whatever you want to call it, about something that, you know, we all as a community like are really passionate about. So in this case, obviously books and reading. And having these little connections or bigger connections with you lovely folks in the comments has been really, really lovely. Getting a comment from any of you always brings a smile to my face. You make me happy. It makes me happy to hear from people and to engage with people about you know, what I've been reading, what they've been reading, etc. I've been very fortunate in that I've only actually had one shitty comment on my videos so far, and that was very much a troll thing. It was on a video I did for Transgender Day of Visibility, and I half expected to get some sort of a negative comment on that, and I just deleted it and moved on because I'm not going to engage. So yeah, it's you know, I've been very lucky with that, and all the comments I've had so far have been supportive and lovely and engaging and funny, and it's just been cracking. And I've made some legit friends as well too, folks who I now like chat with regularly away from comment sections, you know, who we message, you know, or email or whatever, plenty, about all sorts of things, you know, not just other than books, you know, people who I hope to meet up with one day in real life, so to speak. And I never in a million years expected to make that kind of friendship, you know, reasonably close friendships like that through BookTube. And that has been one of the best surprises about starting the channel. It has been a joy getting to know new friends this year. The fact that I found that sense of community so quickly, everyone has been so welcoming and supportive and encouraging, was like quite a surprise to me. And I can't tell you the difference that that's made to me actually. My self-confidence has like improved massively, which was always a bit of an issue for me. And my mental health has been so much better than usual in the last year. And a big part of that is BookTube. I've got quite a long history of like anxiety with a fair whack of depression mixed in there too. And I know I'm not the only one with that as well. So it's been one of the best years that I've had in terms of mental health in a long time since I've been doing BookTube. I still have my moments with it, of course, we all do, but having books and BookTube to focus on and connections with folks in the comments and, you know, friends that I've made has really actually helped keep the darkness at bay. You know, it's definitely gone into my, you know, how I manage my mental health kind of plan, essentially. I've got to give a special shout out here and a huge thanks as well to Ollie over at Criminolly, because he's kind of responsible really for my actually getting the confidence to start the channel. I've been thinking about I've been thinking that I'd quite like to maybe try doing BookTube for a while, having, you know, kind of lurked in the background of other people's videos, you know, not really ever read the comments but never really commenting myself. I'm very much a lurker when it's something I'm not sure about. So yeah, I'd kind of, you know, I'd been thinking about maybe trying doing BookTube for myself for a while, but I was very, very kind of nervous about it. And I'd kind of convinced myself really that I was kind of too nervous, too introverted to do it, that I wouldn't be able to, like, you know, come across well on camera or, you know, anything like that, or it'd be just too much for me. And then I saw Ollie's video, which was about doing BookTube as an introvert, because Ollie is himself. And watching that video and then having a quick back and forth with Ollie in the comments section about it, where he was really encouraging about, you know, giving it a go, was what actually really gave me the kick up the backside to actually try it. You know, that was the moment at which I went, no, I'm going to do this. So, you know, that was a big deal for me. So huge thanks to you, Ollie mate, for that kick up the backside. Ollie has been quite influential, to be fair, not just in terms of that, but in terms of like inspiring me to try new stuff. And he is pretty much to blame for my lust for trash these days, and getting me involved as well as a host for Garb August was fantastic, because that was a way to connect with loads of other fabulous booktubers. And that's been awesome. I've found, again, it's led to more connections, more friendships, things like that. So it's like that was fantastic being involved in that. And this brings me nicely to another element of BookTube that I see as a pro, but could be seen as a bit of a con if I let myself get overly enthusiastic and embroiled in it. And that's events. I absolutely threw myself into events last year. The first one was the Garb August 1.5 Wasted Weekend in February, which was brilliant and rekindled a love of trash that I'd not had in like 30 years probably. And I'm very excited that will be happening again in February this year, but more to come that at a later date. April was a huge month where I threw myself into two quite big events, with Trans Girl April, reading work by trans and non-binary creators, and Old School April, which was a kind of readathon and watchathon. Doing those two was quite a mission, but I loved every minute of it, and I do hope they'll return as well this year. And then, you know, we went going through the year. We had Horror Mayhem in May, August was obviously Garb August, which was a biggie, and then Shorty September, and the Cryptid Readathon in November, and I finished off the year with Remember December. So I got through quite a bit in terms of events for my first year on BookTube. I absolutely loved doing all of these events, and I hope to do, the majority of them again this year if they run, but I do need to chill a little bit in terms of feeling like I need to read something for every single prompt or fill in every single bingo square, etc., whatever the kind of the format is of the event. It's just, I let it get a bit too much in some circumstances. So I'm definitely still going to take part in stuff. I'm just not going to overface myself. Otherwise I risk burnout, and that would be a negative thing. I can still have a selection prepared for all the prompts. I need to just not put too much pressure on myself to get through everything. I need to read smarter. I think that read more books that like cover more than one prompt, things like that, or pick shorter things, stuff like that. But I still want to throw myself into these things. I've just got to be a little smarter about how I do it. But yeah, events are a huge part of BookTube for me, and I can't help but get involved with stuff. And in the future, you never know, I might have one of my own up my sleeve. So we'll see. So any cons, any actual negatives to BookTube? No, not for me. I would say not really for me at all. Just things I know that now that I need to watch out for, like not overfacing myself, whether it's events or with TBRs as well. Because I get all over enthusiastic about things, and I get quite obsessive about things as well. But I get really enthusiastic about things that I want to read right now, and so I want to cram everything in. It's like, no, just chill. And another one is like, not beating myself up if I don't get a video out on schedule. It's like, nobody's going to care that much. It's only me that's putting the pressure on. And if I need a break, or I don't have time that week, or for whatever reason, then that's totally okay as well. This is a hobby, not a job, and I don't want it to ever start feeling like a job. So that's just something like, that's all about balance in terms of, my pressure versus just wanting to make sure I keep a schedule and, kind of make stuff regularly. But it's my time, and I shall do with it as I will. Another thing is like just being mindful of not getting hung up on things like stats or views or sub counts, etc. I'm just going to keep putting out videos of me rambling about books, and if the channel grows, then that's great. But as I've kind of said, I'm already surprised at how many folks want to watch me ramble. So I'm kind of cool with where I'm up to. It's like, I try not to get disappointed if a video doesn't do too well in terms of views or engagement. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep talking about what I want to talk about. I'm not going to chase the algorithm. That doesn't interest me in the slightest. So yeah, it's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do when I want to do it. And, I think that's how I'll manage, kind of not making it feel like a job. I suppose one of the slight downsides, if I can even call it that, is the realization that I will never read all of the books out there that I want to read. My wish list of things to read has absolutely ballooned in the last year and continues to do so. Although I do periodically go through it and like turf stuff out that I'm not so bothered about anymore. I'm quite a fickle ferret, so I do tend to like drop stuff in, and then like a few months later I'll go through it and go, yeah, probably not actually bothered about that, so that can come out. But yeah, when I started the channel, my wish list, if you like, consisted of about 150 books, most of which had come in, gone into it in 2022 when I'd started watching more BookTube. But in the last year, that has exploded to about 450 and gets added to most days. So I've just got to make my peace with the fact that I will never be able to read everything. And just enjoy the experience of reading what I do get through. And I think that's, you know, that's more important than anything, is enjoying that experience and sharing that experience with other people. I would much rather have that kind of richness of experience with less books than kind of, you know, pack in so many books that actually I don't really have time to digest them, that I don't really have time to properly talk about them, think about them, etc. So it's like, you know, it's a balance again. But even if I go full throttle and try and read, you know, hundreds and hundreds of books a year, for me, I don't read that fast. I read reasonably fast, but I don't read that fast anyway. But I'll still never get through all of the books that I want to read. So I think it's just about, you know, for me, I would rather just enjoy what I can get through comfortably, reasonably comfortably, and enjoy talking about them as well. Use my time to discuss them with you all lovely people, etc. The other thing that isn't a negative per se, but is something I've had to be mindful of, is that, like, is throwing myself into reading so much and making content and all that kind of stuff. That my other hobbies have waned somewhat. There is a sacrifice there, if you want to call it a sacrifice. There are only so many hours in the day that I have to make, you know, and I have to make a choice about how I use my free time. So some stuff that I used to do a lot of, I don't anymore. So like I don't watch much TV at all anymore, and I watch a lot fewer films. I tend to save film watching for quality time with my wife. Speaking of whom, she's been actually really good at reminding me to put a book down and just engage with the world a little bit. I can be quite obsessive with stuff generally, to say the least. And sometimes I do need a nudge to remind me that there are other things going on, you know, other than what's happening in the story that I'm currently sucked into, or the thing that I'm currently, you know, obsessing over. I mean, the only other hobbies that I'm kind of really strict about making time for are gaming. I love gaming so much. It's kind of my first love. And I definitely make sure that I get in some playtime pretty much daily. And the other one, which is super important, is hiking and getting outside. It's so important for me to leave the house and get into the hills, get that, you know, fix of fresh air and exercise. It's a huge part of managing my kind of mental health as well. So it's really important that I maintain that. And again, it's something that both my wife and I love, something we can do together, how we connect. And it's how I connect with other friends locally as well. You know, we go out for walks. So I need to keep that going, and I need to make sure that books and BookTube does not encroach on that. So I think that's the general pros and cons covered. I will finish off this video with just a few of the biggest surprises that I've had in terms of reading over the last year. These are just a few of the things that I've been shocked to find that I actually really love. First of all, romance. This is again thanks to Garb August, where I tried some male monster post-apocalyptic romance novels, and found that they were fantastic fun. And I've read various other bits of romance throughout the year, and yeah, the right sort of romance I'm absolutely a fan of. Very fun, silly stuff, and quite spicy stuff, I have to say, as well. You've got to have a bit of spice in your life. And yeah, I'm shocked that I liked romance, because I'd kind of, you know, sort of poo-pooed it a little bit for me. I think, you know, it's fine for other people, but I just kind of went, no, I don't think I like that. But yes, apparently I do. Classics, at least some classics. Pride and Prejudice. I was shocked to the heavens to realise that actually I really enjoyed that, and I will be reading some more Jane Austen no doubt this year. Some Edgar Allan Poe. I really enjoyed what I read of his stuff this year. The Yellow Wallpaper, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy. Yeah, these were books which I really enjoyed. It wasn't just a matter of like, oh yeah, it's all right actually. No, I really enjoyed these books, and that did shock me because my history with classics, certainly like pre-20th century literature, wasn't good. YA and middle grade stuff. Again, another thing that I'd kind of gone, oh no, it's YA, oh no, it's middle grade. You know, I'm an adult, I want adult books. And no, I've read quite a lot of YA in the past year, and the majority of it has been fantastic. And middle grade as well. There's some cracking middle grade stuff out there, especially in terms of horror and adventure stuff. Really good and really engaging, you know, even for somebody in their 40s. So yeah, YA in middle grade, I'm definitely going to keep dipping into that stuff, because there is some in various genres as well, because there's some really interesting work out there. The cozy fantasy I've talked about before, you know, Legends and Lattes was my number 2 book of 2023. And I loved Bookshops and Bone Dust as well. And I'm going to just, you know, when it comes to fantasy, I'm a little bit with fantasy generally, but I am going to try and find some more cozy fantasies that I think I might enjoy and give them a go randomly throughout the year. But yeah, very shocked to find that I liked that kind of stuff. And then finally, and this is the biggest surprise to me of all, is apparently I like shark stories now. For anybody who doesn't know, I have a pretty bad phobia of sharks. Certainly visually speaking, the look of them terrifies me. I will not watch a movie, TV show, documentary, anything like that about sharks. I can't do it. It is instant nightmare fuel. I can't stand them. They absolutely terrify me. But one of the friends I've made this year, Mr. Troy Tradup, he's a huge shark fan. It's absolutely loves them. And you know, we'd had a bit of a back and forth generally, a bit of ribbing and stuff about my fear of sharks. And he actually has written a story featuring a shark. And when I came to read his collection of stories, I haven't finished this, I've still got the plays to read, but all the stories in here are excellent. But there is one story which he said, oh, you might want to skip this one if you don't like sharks. And that is Death Off Venice. And I thought, no, I'll give it a go, because at least it's not visuals. And I think it's my favourite story in this collection, and it's one of my favourite short stories I think that I've read. So yeah, do go check out Troy's collection of stories and plays there. But yeah, that kind of made me go, oh, I can handle this. I can handle a shark attack in book form. And so later on in the year, worked my way up to reading Jaws and The Meg, and that was it then. I absolutely love shark stories. I've read a few other bits and pieces of sharky stuff. I've got an absolute ton of shark stuff in my wish list. But because I started reading it, I then started just kind of challenging that fear a little bit, and I can now look at a still image of a shark without getting too scared. I don't like it particularly, but it doesn't scare me. In fact, it somewhat fascinates me. It's that kind of weird, morbid fascination. Still can't watch moving images of them attacking or anything like that. No. And I don't like really toothy images. Really toothy images. I don't like that. But yeah, it has made me rethink my shark phobia a bit and challenge it a bit, and it is getting incrementally better. In fact, I've even done some artwork with sharks on it. It's like, you know, simple stuff, but I never would have done that a year ago. So that is a huge surprise to me, is that I like the sharky stuff a lot, and also that's led to a love for horror set in the deep ocean as well, that I really want to read more and more of that. But it's really good that that interaction with Troy pushing myself to kind of then read more sharky stuff, and that has actually like made a difference to the fact, you know, to my fear factor with certain things, because the shark phobia I've had pretty much since I was a kid, and it's again, it's better than it was, but that has actually been quite a nasty phobia for me at times. Certainly in terms of if I'm stressed, anxious or anything, sharks invade my dreams, and it's, well, yeah, it's not good. Whereas that's lessened, most definitely. So there you go. You know, you never know what you're going to find when you join BookTube and find these people and, you know, interactions, and yeah, lots of change, lots and lots of change. But I think that will do from me today. I think I've rambled on enough about how much I love BookTube, but I do. And yeah, this year has been brilliant. And you know, it's certainly in terms of hobbies and, you know, kind of community and social life and stuff, it wouldn't be hyperbolic for me to say this is one of the best years of my life in that respect. So yeah, it's been a weird year in terms of my work side of things. That's been a bit this year. My creative art side of things, that's been a bit but in terms of like social stuff and BookTube and creativity in that respect and inspiration, absolutely superb. But thank you all so much once again, to everyone who has watched, liked, subscribed, commented, etc. on any of my videos. Huge love to you all. Your support and encouragement, etc., has been very, very much, and will always be very much appreciated. So here's to another fabulous year on BookTube. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider dropping me a like, or subscribing if you're not already subscribed, for more ramblings coming very soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.